I am so excited to introduce this machine to you. This is the white Rotary Model 31, and it was born in 1934. It is the only of its kind that we've found. Unbelievably rare. In a simple look at the body style of this, which is an embossed style that really, just gives it a sculpted look like you would see on some decorative wrought iron type designs. Just a one of a kind as far as we've been able to discover. It also has a number of unique features on it that we'll get into as well in this introductory video. But let's go ahead and start on the bottom right hand side of this by the stitch length control. You can see right now the stitch length is in the up position pointing towards long, which is going to give you about 6 stitches per inch. If we move it all the way down to the short position, it's going to give you about 30 stitches per inch. So a huge stitch variation on stitch length. And if I can reach this applique, I'll show you a glance of what this machine generated in this applique production. You can see on the outer band of this flower we come pretty close to that 30 stitches per inch. Also on this green band that kind of frames it, we're pretty close to that 30 stitches per inch. But as we move into the outer blue areas and also into the center of the flower, we're pretty close to that 6 stitches per inch. So you can see by simply varying the stitch length, you can get some really cool project outcomes. And the final product is just a creative masterpiece of what a straight stitch machine can do with just a little bit of creativity. And you're capable of doing the very same thing. Let's go back to the machine and we'll focus on the bobbin winding now. The bobbin winding on this machine is very simple. Coming off of this spool pin on top, you're simply going to follow this simple little track here. Place your bobbin on here. You engage it to the hand wheel. Once that bobbin is full, you simply disengage it. You can see on the top, if we go near the top of the machine, that we have 2 spool pins. Now this machine is really designed to do just a single thread type feed, but there are a lot of adaptations now with needle design, over under type needles that give you the capability to feed 2 threads through a needle plate that's designed for a single needle. Also you can do 2 threads through the same eye of the needle with a large enough needle with this type of machine. So you really do have the capability to do dual needle sewing with the right adaptations. Also, I want to throttle this up real quick. I've got the clutch disengaged. I want to touch a little bit on this motor. This motor is at peak amperage, reaches a peak amperage of 3 amps, which is 2 times more powerful than the FOF 130, 2 times more powerful than the FOF 130-6, and 2 times more powerful than the green Husqvarna Viking machines that have an amperage of 1.5. It is an unbelievably powerful motor, and driven directly by that pulley wheel on the back, which you'll be able to see in the photographs, you don't lose any traction whatsoever when you're sewing. It really is the equivalent of the Singer direct drive type motors, where you get that immediate power, that burst of power, and yet it can also be a very controlled power, as you saw in that applique, where you can make tight corners and just have a great deal of control as well, and then very quickly move into a heavy duty sew off and have that immediate burst of power. Follow me across the top to this spool pin over here, and I'm going to show you that threading is very simple. I'm going to just temporarily rotate the machine towards the camera. Hopefully the camera can get a shot. And coming through this 1 thread guide, you're going to come down through the tension control area, which is actually on the faceplate, up to the arm, and then all the way down to this presser foot. This presser foot in and of itself has a huge amount of clearance. So if you're looking to sew heavy duty, if you're looking to do a lot of quilting with multiple layers of quilt batting, it's a breeze to fit it underneath there. But if you really want to max it out, this machine has an amazing hyper extension. Look at the extension of clearance that you gain through that hyperextension, you almost triple your clearance. So if you need to fit some heavy grade materials or some additional layers quilt batting, it's no difficulty at all with this Model 31. Also, it's very easy to move this plate on a position if you're wanting to access that bobbin area, and just as easy to go ahead and pop it back into place after you've changed out a bobbin. And look at how gorgeous that plate is. I just love that plate and the extension on it as well. I'm going to rotate the machine back forward again and also point out another really cool feature on this machine. Again, with being able to peak at 3 amps on that motor, the wiring on this machine is even heavier grade than most of the vintage machines. And that can be seen in this light assembly as well, which, believe it or not, you can go all the way up to a 75 watt bulb on it. Now, I wouldn't recommend you go that high because it really will bleach out your sewing area and probably make it a little bit more difficult to see what you're doing down at the needle. But when we were doing that applique that we showed, we actually went up to a 40 watt bulb, which we'll be including with the machine. And boy, oh boy, does that give you a wonderful lighted surface, you know, to be able to see what's happening on the bed and also at the needle. But even now, it's got about a 25 watt bulb in it, and I think it's more than ample to get the job done. This, again, is going to be, in my opinion, the most rare machine that we've listed on eBay. A simple pan of the camera right away shows you just amazingly the rarity of this machine with that embossed surface and just the overall design. The power of the motor peaking at 3 amps, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this. But we're going to add more value to it as usual. We're going to be adding a Singer bonus to this white rotary. 2 books. This gorgeous Sewing for Children book that's 128 pages, and also this Singer Sewing Essentials, which is also 128 pages. So all in all, almost 260 pages of resource information that will go with this machine to add more value to it. Make sure you check out our other videos as well, where we demonstrate the strength of that incredible motor that this machine has.